Good evening, Awoken. Happy Awoken Wednesday to the Awoken here on this Awoken Wednesday evening. Thrilled to be back with you today. Good evening once again to everybody. I am your host, per usual, Aulden S. Nance, and we have a pretty informative anchor show and topic for you this week. We have two main multiple topics I really want to hit at. We're going to be continuing coverage in Iran with possible ground invasion, whether it's, welcome. Thank you, Grandmaster, official 9752. Appreciate the warm welcome. So whether it's Kharg Island within the Persian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, we're going to be discussing potential ground invasion within the Islamic Republic, and we're also going to be touching on a domestic priority that you might have personally felt by this point in the partial government shutdown with Department of Homeland Security. Travel TSA is right now they're not being paid, the employees. They are working they'll get back pay at some point, but their agency is shut down. This does not involve ICE, however, even though it is under the DHS umbrella. So we're going to be looking at the TSA shutdown, how it's impacting Americans in the air each and every day. So we got a couple of fun little topics for you on this Awoken Wednesday evening. And Live to Survive 4558 says, hey, hello, what's going on, big man? Thank you for joining the stream tonight. Thank you to everyone that is here with us on this Wednesday evening. Glad to have you on the stream. Thank you very much for taking some time out of your day to become a little more awoken. Well, if you're here, you're actually already awoken. So, and Parker Whitaker 9594 says yo, and Colonel TSA has only existed since 2001. We managed to make do just fine before that. Yeah, and there was a very good point. Absolutely, the agency has not been. I'm older than the agency, so pretty good historical context there from the Colonel. All right, everybody. So just want to say, if you're new to the stream, first time on the live stream, would love make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave the video a like, leave a comment, join Parker, Colonel, Survive, and Grandmaster down in the comment section. Leave a comment, let me know how you think my analysis is, what you would like to challenge me on, any future idea topics. So some big news today, not news, but news for the channel and the community, is that we, along with Z was a big help in being the architect for this, but we now have a Discord channel. So if you're in the Awoken, and this is a way that we can craft ideas around for episode topics, for stuff that you guys may see, whether it's breaking news or stuff that you feel like the group needs to see. We have several channels on the Discord app set up, so you can find the link in the video description. So would love to have you join the Discord. That way I can get to know you guys a little bit better just off of the streams as well. Because right now it is just, I'm able to talk with you guys on the stream, but sometimes the next time we hang out could be a couple days. Sometimes there's not a clear schedule. So it's able to where we can stay in closer communication and share ideas and kind of grow the community sense of this. Because now we're above, I believe, 640 subs. So we're picking up subs each and every day. We are growing the channel now. Now it's time to lock in like a core group of people that are wanting to this morning on the stream, Survive mentioned he wanted to help out more. So one way is that, yeah, if we're all at least together in this Discord chat, we can maybe produce increased chemistry out of this. So would love to have you join the Discord channel. It's in the video description. I also added it to the channel. Excuse me there. The channel description. And as well I made a community post on the YouTube app earlier today. So I don't think there's any, just maybe use the same username you're using right now or something very similar so we know who you are. And that would be great. So, okay, so now get that. And also, if you're, so now, I guess now we're on 8 different platforms, but the 7 other than Discord, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, X, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch. And now, Discord. So we're on 8 different platforms. So would love to have you an active member on all of those. Okay, so now got some of that housekeeping out of the way. Let's do a little recap of what we discussed this morning, last couple of days. So on Friday, had a long weekend. On Friday, we had a live stream at the Texas State Capitol in Austin, Texas, of the Lone Star State. That was a pretty fun, exciting. Low change of scenery, right? We know the Texas State Capitol is slightly at a higher elevation than the United States Capitol. I believe by only 3 centimeters, though. But that's one of those Texas, everything's bigger in Texas kind of things. So, something exciting there. That was fun, hanging out at the Texas State Capitol. Beautiful architecture. I was able to show you guys the Texas State House floor and the State Senate floor as well. So, if you haven't checked that out, I want to check that out for a couple of minutes. And then last couple of mornings, we've continued the morning streams. We had we talked about Iran a whole lot, but today was the first time for the poll question is we discussed potential boots on the ground, whether it's the 82nd Airborne or some other similar ground invasion / force. So you definitely want to check that out. The last couple of morning streams. I'm losing track of what day it is. I keep which day the Iran War is. For this video, I have it Iran War Day 26. I believe that's it because it started February 28th, technically. So, with today being March 25th, you add the 25 days in March, add the 28th of February. I believe it's the 26th. So, some good stuff there. So yeah, I believe we finally have the dates back on track, and excited to be with you here this evening. Okay, so before we dive into tonight's slide deck, let's read a couple of new comments here. Parker says, I'm older than Google, and asks, what do you think about Diddy getting his sentence shortened? Huh. I think that's pretty wild that, was there not enough baby oil there for something? And Survive says, I had a problem getting back on Discord, but I will look into it more. All right, perfect. Yeah, maybe we can help you out during the stream, or if you have any questions or something. Honestly, I'm not super familiar with the platform. I had a buddy, our guest last week, actually, Zach. We have a sports Discord, but it was a little confusing to me. But I'm starting to. I was on it today a little bit, starting to understand a little bit better. Parker asks, favorite thing you saw in Texas, and what did you learn there? Favorite thing I saw in Texas? Not a monument, but it was a joy to see my friend and his then fiance officially tie the knot and get married. A very, very beautiful moment. Very proud of both of them. Wish them only the very best in their life. And what I learned there, Self-confidence. Yeah, always gotta have confidence in yourself, everybody. Nothing, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. So, I should say reaffirmed that. Reaffirmed self-confidence. So, good question, Parker. And Survive says Kennedy asked to have all members' pay halted while the shutdown. Any inputs? So actually, when I was in the Senate working for the gentleman behind me, Senator Mike Braun of Indiana, now the governor of Indiana, Mike Braun, is he had a similar bill. Every time there'd be a government shutdown or threats of a government shutdown, we would release this bill, which essentially would halt the members of the Congress from receiving pay during that shutdown. Never went through because they're never going to neuter themselves, right? So, yeah, it's a good bill. There's always a couple, maybe a dozen or two that will support it every time, but it's, we're probably not even going to get voter ID. So why would the Congress ever neuter themselves? Very good question, though. Very good question. Okay. So, speaking of the shutdown that Survive mentioned, and that lots of other people are discussing, this TSA, the wait times at some of these airports seem to be, some people are arriving several hours before their departure time, still not making their flights on time. And this is because, so a little backstory, we kind of did the backstory a few months ago. But after the deaths of Alex Preddy and Renee Good in Minneapolis, Democrats dug in and said, we're not going to fund DHS further if there's not this list of demands met by ICE agents. Some of those which being the body cams on the uniforms and no face coverings, no masking. And there were a couple other demands, essentially. It basically neuters ICE, essentially makes makes them pretty weak in their abilities to conduct some of this immigration enforcement. And the Republicans, obviously, they're going to dig in on their side and say, hey, we need strong borders. Whatever. You all know the talking points at this point, or at this point in time. And they are going to be, they're going back and forth on it, right? It is shut down currently. You see some ICE agents at some of these airports, which is causing some confusion among maybe a little bit of everybody, but especially among some people. Democrats are a little concerned. So that's just a little backstory on that. So ever since the deaths of those individuals in Minneapolis, the agency's essentially been shut down. The TSA part, not ICE, though ICE, through the big beautiful bill last maybe late spring, early summer, when the One Big Beautiful Bill Act passed, ICE got a bunch of cash for the time being. So they're not impacted by the shutdown, but TSA, they are, and a couple of these other agencies under the DHS umbrella. So we're going to be talking about that a little more with our slide deck this evening, and we'll transition into Iran after that. So we're kind of doing two main big topics tonight. We'll discuss the TSA. One is more informative than opinionated, I'd say. Just analysis I've kind of realized. Let's see. Parker says that girl definitely tried to run the cop/ICE officer over. She didn't, especially from one of the angles I saw. Yeah, it seemed like that one, I think, is out of the two. I think that one is more the, if you're on the Democrat side, maybe you argue that one as being more unjust. I agree, Parker. I don't know why the hell you'd think it would be a good idea to ever pull away quickly in a automobile with an officer right next to you. It's just, it was just a very unfortunate situation for her. And then you have the Alex Preddy. That dude was kicking and screaming and actively inserting himself in these some of that law enforcement situation. Um, so that one I think is a little maybe not as debatable. And Survive says the only time that I've been in the air was in 2000, and that was a Huey helicopter. Never flew in a plane. Wow, very nice. I didn't fly in a plane for the longest time either until I started working in DC. I had never flown in an airplane before. Parker says even her dad wasn't mad at the officer. Wow. That's wow. Okay. So yeah, we're going to pull up the slide deck for this evening. We'll get us all ready to go. Wait, that's the wrong guy. Hang on. Where'd it go? Alright, yeah, I think this guy is correct. Yeah, let's go with this guy. Wait, no, it's this guy. Sorry. Okay. Parker says, play dumb games, win dumb prizes, and Survive agrees. Alrighty. So let's get after it this evening, everybody. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about Strait of Hormuz and TSA here. So let's just do a little brief background on everybody here that maybe has not joined Survivor Parker in the chat so far this evening, or Grandmaster as well, and Colonel. My apologies. So we have 4 active members in the chat this evening. Here I'm just going to leave a message real quick. Alrighty. All right, wonderful. Little brief on the events occurring is that we have, as I kind of mentioned, we have the shutdown after the ICE immigration events in Minneapolis. Shutdown's been for the last couple of weeks. Now with maybe more travel and ICE entering some of the airports, that's causing more of a public discussion. We've seen at some of these airports, Atlanta and it seems like Houston and Atlanta are taking a let's good idea of Survive. Let's pin that. Or if there's a way I can pin that. Oops. Maybe on just YouTube I can do that. But here, 1 second. Let's see if I can pin it real quick. Yeah, technically I'm not on the YouTube app with this guy. This guy will help me. Here, let's pin this. Alright, it should be pinned now on the YouTube. This is like a StreamYards. It helps me out a little bit. So happy to be here. That should be pinned for you guys to hang on to. Okay, so back to the spiel, though. However, we have ICE in some of these airports now, and in Atlanta and Houston in particular, it seems to be awful. Some of these travel times, and even so, the wedding was in Austin, Texas, obviously, and a couple buddies had weird red-eye flight times, and they got to the airport at 3 in the morning, and their wait time was 90 minutes. Then I got to the airport later the next afternoon, and it was like 5 minutes long. So it's just kind of weird sometimes. Maybe it's staffing personnel. They definitely seem understaffed right now. We see large chunks of the workforce because none of them are getting paid. So there was more of... there's less personnel. People are calling in sick. If you're not making money and you're living paycheck to paycheck, you have to do something different for a moment, or for at least the time being. So some people are forced to call out sick, whatever, and it's causing this national conversation that we're kind of having right now tonight. And it's also the kind of the domestic story. You see in a TV show, there's always an A plot and a B plot. This is kind of the B plot right now because it's domestic. It's impacting lots of people. So at Medi833 says TSA to me was more about being a security binky for the general public to feel protected. I think that's a fair point, especially after 9/11, right? People were afraid, a little concerned about their safety, or trying to get people get back on the planes to fly again was difficult. So it probably offered some reassurance to some people skeptical or on the fence about traveling. Let's go to, let's head to the next slide here. Under immense pressure because they are within the umbrella of Department of Homeland Security, which is out of money. They have no money currently. They're temporarily bankrupt. So, and there's also pressure because people miss flights. They get upset. They get if they feel like they need to move more people through at a faster rate of speed. That means you have to check equipment quicker or maintain crowd control more. And remember, 35% of your coworkers are sick, or they can't sick, or they're not working, or they're struggling to, they have no morale. They really don't want to be there. And it's causing not just pressure at that immediate airport, right? If you have a delayed flight, you have people trying to get connecting flights. It turns into a big problem quickly, even 10, 15 minutes. So I had a connecting flight coming home from Austin and Charlotte, and at first I was afraid we were going to miss it because we were on the tarmac trying to leave Austin for about 40 additional minutes. However, there was a delay for the Charlotte flight as well, so there was no problem there. But still, you see how it kind of parlays off of each other? And there's still, people need to travel still. People need to go weddings. People need to check out they have vacations planned several months in advance. They don't have time for this. You also have, and like every time we see this, whether it's an ice storm, travel for work. That's another good one. Yeah, you have business meetings set up, or you need to make a pitch, whatever it is. And you see anytime there's a big ice storm in the East Coast, the 5 o'clock, 5:30 news on NBC is like 1,000 flights canceled or delayed across the East Coast. You know, it's a big drama moment for the regime media. Here's where ICE enters the picture a little bit. They're also within DHS, but as I mentioned, through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, they're fine financially. No risk there. They're good for the time being, at least, if not another year or two. And now we're seeing some of these reports and images of ICE officers within assisting TSA involved in work duties. We know Tom Homan has mentioned that it's not new that ICE is within airports assisting personnel when needed. There's also, but some people are kind of questioning, especially after the Minneapolis stuff, it's kind of in the back of everyone's mind still. ICE has been one of the larger factors and subplots of the Trump administration so far, and it kind of heated after the Minneapolis situation. So some people are afraid. You have, whether they're illegal or just right, people are just kind of confused and afraid right now. And yeah, it's still a big issue, right? Everyone's still talking about immigration. We know um, there's just a lot of tension and opinions around the issue on both sides, right? You have, we actually saw the president and his team and congressional Republicans, they've been told not to use the phrase mass deportations anymore because they're afraid it's too unpopular for the midterms, so they've kind of abandoned mass deportations. And the left, right, they're very adamant against ICE, immigration, enforcement, and those issues, so they're going to protest regardless and up to a point. Okay, so let's read a couple of comments from some of our audience tonight. Let's see. Lives 400 TSA quit. TSA are mall cops of the airport. Nice. Yeah, they kind of do look like Paul Blart a little bit, right? They're all, some of them are a little chubby. Thoughts on airlines being responsible for security with federal oversight? Oh, like maybe particular airports or airlines, maybe. Let me know that follow up. Then I think I might have a better idea. And then yeah, travel for work. What about needing real ID to travel? Yet if someone goes to another country, they don't see it as a real ID. Then Medi, I believe this is Medi's first time on the stream. Welcome to Awoken with Aulden. My apologies if you have been on the stream before and I just forgot. So welcome, glad to have you here this evening. ICE is not the agency they should have chosen to, quote, help, unquote, out considering, and then agreed with an earlier point of mine, I believe. So, yeah, maybe Survive is mentioning that in the future, potentially, the airlines might need to do their own security. Yeah, they have their own processes. That's something I've heard before. I'm just not. It just seems to be a little more difficult if there's picking and choosing, because then if it's not universal, then I think some people might be opposed to that in the sense that, let's say, Southwest has incredibly strong measures, or they keep the current measures. Maybe one airline goes like above and beyond, or like goes super aggressive with it, like even further with it. So like maybe you need to take your pants off going through the line. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So like that could be a little bit of an issue. And then maybe the third, maybe Spirit Airlines has no security at all. Maybe you can just walk on right through. So I think that could panic some people. And why is TSA taxpayer funded? Yeah, I think that's fair, right? We have some of the right. We just know it's a federal agency, and with after 2001, I think there was that maybe consensus among the general public to where that this was necessary for the society and the airline industry to continue making money, right? People, yeah, after the attacks, afraid to get on the planes, afraid to travel. It was just kind of a very uncertain moment. So very good questions, everybody. Okay. Now let's go to some of the, right, we have the both sides reaction. Dems, obviously they're going to talk about ICE, right? That's one of their calling cards, and now it seems like public opinion has shifted towards the Democrats on this issue when it used to be in the Republicans' pocket just 18 months ago, hardly. The Republicans just kind of have generic talking points when it comes to the issue as a whole, right? Well, we should have, it's maybe with it being shut down, we need extra people there that to make up for the lack of bodies from TSA themselves. What about an Iranian sleeper cell or a proxy member, maybe trying an attack with less government personnel being present? So that's going to be their main counter. Um, and it's more of the broader issue, as I kind of mentioned. The Minneapolis stuff did it in with a lot of the public opinion. We see that's why the Republicans have kind of backtracked on the issue, and it's more of a battle within the war, kind of in this political issue. More people are talking about it, right? You might know somebody that has had a flight delayed or got canceled, screwed up, and just wanting to feel secure at the airport is still a pretty big deal for a lot of flyers. What this means for you. There are some of these longer wait times now, right? So people are having to show up to the airport several hours earlier prior, when last year at this time that was not an issue. I like the visual points. They are unbiased. Those are the facts. Thank you. I try to be as... I know politics sometimes it's hard to... right, we all have our opinions, right? But I try to, at least when I do these, be as fair. So, because I want the movement to be a big tent movement. So I want everybody, whether it's people that will put America first, are welcome. The other stuff, yeah, I can't argue with the facts, right? So, thank you, though. And it's a very good starting point for debate, right? Which is, we believe strongly in the First Amendment on this channel. So everyone is welcome to leave comments, share their views, and challenge each other over them. Let's see. And yeah, so it's just, we're hearing about this a lot, right? It, especially with fuel, right? We know the energy prices are screwed up right now with we'll head to the Strait of Hormuz here in a few minutes. So yeah, there's less personnel. The fuel costs are rising. There's other concerns, maybe sleeper cells, maybe something like that. So it's just really, it's a lot of stuff for you at home. Why is it trending at this very moment is because immigration, right, the ICE, especially ICE being there. I personally think it's a Republican play. Is that Republicans, they know by sending ICE in, it will panic Democratic voters. This is my opinion, and it's really a way to try and force get the Democrats in the corner and say, hey, I think, or hey, we're going to have ICE at the airports now. They're just really just going to be kind of standing there, but their presence will be felt. And I think it's maybe to try and make Democrats cave and make a deal on it. But the Democrats are doing the same thing, to your point. And millions of people fly each week. Maybe you fly once a month, maybe bi-weekly, or you have a flight coming up. And there is a huge, across the globe, we are in this war with Iran, day 26 today. So it ties into other conflicts, right? So yeah, I think that's what I want to say there. And then what's kind of the future going to look like for the TSA issue by itself is you have maybe there's an agreement to reopen DHS. Maybe both sides have to cave a little bit or concede a couple of their points. It's going to be a political issue that maybe all right, so right now, today is March 25th. So we're dangerously close to April. And April is springtime, right? So we've pretty much made it through the winter now. So we got April, May, June, July, August. September, October, and then November, right? So we're around 8 months away. So midterms are starting to creep up quickly. Primaries are already going on. There was elections last night. We briefly touched up on this on the morning show, but the Florida State House district in which President Donald Trump resides in Mar-a-Lago flipped from red to blue, actually. So Democrats, they have a little bit of momentum at the moment with some of this electoral stuff. We saw a big turnout for them in terms of early voting for the Texas primary. So the left is, they're kind of fired up a little bit right now. They're, who knows how much it will translate to November, but we'll just kind of have to keep seeing what happens there. Everyone wants to feel safe when they fly, so it's not an issue that's going to go away anytime soon. And we see these long lines, right? So everyone films everything today. If you go to the airport and you see thousands of people in line trying to get through TSA, people are going to film it. It's going to go online. It's not going to be the best look by any means. And we also have that ties into immigration as a whole. Okay? So now with the TSA portion here, I'll read some of the new comments real quickly. Both sides seem to be using it to rally their bases. Parker says, how long before you think the sleeper cells are activated? And will that unite the United States, or will some still think it's fake news? It just kind of depends on how effective the hypothetical attack could be. Where also, like, I think the location matters as well. And there's just some, because we've already kind of seen a couple of these, right? There was that, didn't read a whole lot into, but there was that synagogue in Michigan. There was in Austin, where like 2 weeks before I went there, I think there was a shooting on that bar strip. And there's been a couple of other mix-ins / run-ins with potential sleeper cells as well already. So some might think it's still fake news, but I think it really depends on if it's going to change the course of like involvement from the United States in the war. I was on 9/11, or excuse me, I was in during 9/11, and after 9/11, we were briefed by the FBI when they pushed to connect two different branches. I was activated for Y2K. I was in Governor Pataki's situation room during Y2K. Super interesting story there. Awesome. Yeah, that's very interesting. Survive. Parker says, is live saying they are a sleeper cell? I don't believe he's saying there's a sleeper cell right there. Everyone freaked out, and then the Patriot Act. Colonel says, give up your rights for your safety. Yeah, kind of what happened. And how severe the attacks are probably. I think so, Parker. Yeah, I think that's going to be a big chunk of the... now, I'm not sure if it means X amount of people would have to be killed, or maybe the media really hype. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many variables that could go into it that make it a little tough right now to predict. And I don't think Iran is at the spot where they need to do that yet either. Australia gave up their guns, and look at them now. Do you think it happens with school shootings as well? Yeah, unfortunately in America there are too many school shootings, right? It's awful to see, kids killed in the classroom. Absolutely. So I don't think it will get. I highly doubt, I should say, American citizens would ever surrender the Second Amendment to the government, especially now, right? With this mass awakening we are trying to build, together. So good question though. Okay, so we're going to slide right into this is the only slide I have for the Iran topic. Just really wanted to show the Strait of Hormuz. We talked about it a little bit a couple weeks ago on the Iran episode. But the Strait of Hormuz, right? This is what the war has gone to right now. We know that Iran's strategy is different than a traditional military campaign. They know they can't stop or like defeat necessarily the United States and Israel, but they can hold on. They can go down kicking and screaming and make it as inconvenient and as difficult, bloody, time consuming, resource consuming, global market pressure and stress. They have a lot of cards to play for asymmetric warfare, to screw up oil, screw up other global markets. And so then that's kind of where we are today. They can continue they have deterrence when it comes to being able to keep the Strait of Hormuz shut down. The missile defense program, all of their ballistic missiles and launch platforms, even let's say 90% of them are destroyed, or whatever the number the Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump say. Well, it's a huge country. They can disassemble these missiles quickly, and they can reassemble them at a different location in a short amount of time as well. They can continue building and manufacturing drones for additional deterrence. They're cheap. And interceptors from the United States and Israel and the Gulf countries, they are deeply expensive. So Iran, they can continue to stay alive through a couple of those methods alone. So think of it like a sports game a little bit, right? When the nuclear facilities were attacked last June, Iran, they lost a little bit of that card to play. So they had to go back. They had to really increase the missile defense stockpile and the drones. And then after the supreme leader was removed, and other personnel, they went to the next plan, right? They always have the next plan kind of set up. So just wanted to show the Strait of Hormuz for you, right? We know it's 20% of global oil supply, 40% of China's supply as well. And right now it's effectively shut down. So that's causing the markets freak out. Price of oil is rising, decreasing, fluctuating all the time. So the next play on how to break, it's almost like a tie. Feels like a tie right now, right? Last couple of days, we haven't really seen either side progress necessarily or degress. So the Strait is the next situation room, and to Survive's point, potentially whether it's this weekend or the next weekend, because we know the president will often wait, whether it's Midnight Hammer last summer, that was a Saturday, I believe. The Maduro situation, I think that was a Friday or Saturday night back in January. Killing the supreme leader, that was also a Friday night, right? So all of this stuff occurs on Friday on the weekends. So he doesn't toy around with it that much. That's why he said for like the fourth or fifth time this week that we won the war. He said that on Monday, that we won. Okay, everyone pack up, go home. It's just not happening. He's doing that to maintain stability within the markets. So the next play could be to try to take Kharg Island. We kind of discussed this a couple morning episodes ago last week. But this Kharg Island I saw right before I hopped on, actually, is you have a lot of, they're booby trapping the area around with mines and other bombs and explosive devices. they're preparing for an invasion, and they know this, right? The Iranians, they have this game plan that they've been sitting on for decades. They knew exactly what might happen, and they have contingency plans to deal with attacks. And this island, I believe it's 80 to 90% of Iran's oil exports leave this island in particular. So if you can choke them, like they're kind of choking the world with the Strait of Hormuz, if you can choke them, that might give you somewhat of, that gives you a little bit of an advantage. That's like removing a piece on the chessboard. It's a victory. So, and why does this matter? Because the big problem, so here, we'll just I'll leave the map on for a second, but I'll remove it here in a moment. Does anyone have any questions about the map or anything, even TSA related, before? Because I'm probably switch into monologue mode here in a couple of moments. Well, I'll go back to full screen. But you have a couple of these other islands as well that are somewhat strategic. Maybe one of those are the targets by the United States this weekend or next weekend. Because they need to find a way. The U.S. and Israel, their next goal is to get this strait back open, or to have some bargaining power, some bargaining chips when it comes to this. Because right now, it's the president can only say so many times that we're giving you 48 hours or we're bombing your energy infrastructure, and then once the markets open Monday morning, whoop, never mind. That's only going to work so many times before people, I don't really believe this anymore, or I can't trust him, or it gets so uncertain. So that's where we kind of are with that. So here I'm gonna go back to full screen now. So here's the problem that United States, where Washington and Tel Aviv are currently in right now, is you have what's the goal of this? The entire mission, whether it's Operation War, whatever word you want to use to call it, it is to topple the Iranian government and get regime change in Tehran. That's the end game with this. That's what they're playing for. It's the jackpot in terms of Tel Aviv's eyes. But what's the problem right now is that the Iranians, they have, the Strait of Hormuz is causing a lot of stress to the global energy supply and markets. And right now, you can almost argue a little bit that the Iranians are in a better position than they were and when the war began. Because now they have complete sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, and they're able to... they're collecting, it's essentially tax, like a levy. They're collecting it in U.S. dollars, which is something they need urgently right now, because around New Year's Day, we saw the currency was totally worthless. So with the snapback sanction from the IAEA, from Europe last September, also didn't help out the economic situation. So right now, they're helping their economy by doing this. And as long as they have that, they're a little better off than they were before. And so if the United States cannot bomb the Iranians into regime change, something else has to happen, right? That's just the simple reality. Even if you eliminate the supreme leader and let's say 75% of the cabinet or their top leaders, let's say you kill other senior ayatollahs, other mullahs, other Revolutionary Guard commanders and leaders and lieutenants and other personnel, you're still going to have the Revolutionary Guard is for the most part intact. They have ballistic missiles, they have drones, they have other defense mechanisms. They have the besiege. That's hundreds of thousands of soldiers right there on the ground waiting. There's the standard Iranian military as well. So there's so many avenues that they can play, and that bombing campaign cannot end it alone. It's just, that's the reality. They can be bombed 300,000 times maybe, and it still wouldn't collapse the regime. Okay, so we know that's not going to work. So now you have to go step two, asymmetric warfare. If the Iranians, they're playing tough to get when it comes to energy and global oil supply, the Strait of Hormuz, you got to hurt them as well, make them feel a little bit of the pain, which is where I think the Kharg Island play or other islands within the Persian Gulf makes sense. That's probably the next play, whether it's this weekend or you have the 82nd Airborne soon. That's probably what Washington and Tel Aviv are looking at right now. But there's still a big problem in this. It still does not cause regime change. That's the one big thing, is that even if these islands are conquered, right? Kharg Island is conquered and essentially removed from the Iranians' tool belt, is that still doesn't collapse the regime, no matter how, because the economy is already bad. Remember, their dollar is worthless. They have no money. So they're just going to keep going at the rate that they are. So it's going to take something else, right? Maybe this is the beginning of the end. Maybe you get one of these islands and then you have your entry point onto the mainland or something of that nature. Who knows? It's right. That's kind of where we are now. And maybe this is an out for the president. Maybe what's going to happen is that Washington and Tel Aviv, they've realized that during this specific campaign, the regime, we weakened it severely, but it's going to be too tough to remove it this time. So maybe we need to let's gain sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, or make it at least a pain in the ass for the Iranians, or something of that nature. And then we can say, well, we have a lot more control over the nation. They don't have a legit supreme leader anymore. We can claim temporary victory, go home after the midterms. This time next year, we're going to come back and try and finish them off that time. But what's the big problem about that is anything that is short of regime change this time is a victory for the Iranians if the United States and Israel leave this conflict. It's because what they will be able to do, the regime will, something just like this. Hey everybody, we were bombed by Washington and Tel Aviv, the little Satan and the big Satan, or whatever their nickname, whatever they call us. We were bombed by them 10,000 times, and your longtime supreme leader died for you. He sacrificed his life knowing that he was a target in this campaign. So so now he's martyred by the population. And his son, or not even the son. So the supreme leader, he's martyred, and then they can say something of this nature, that if they can't stop us this last time, you know what we're going to do? We're going to rebuild our missiles and double it. We're going to double the drone supply factory. And guess what? We're going to go right back to trying to highly enrich uranium. We're going to rebuild Fordow. We're going to rebuild Natanz. We're going to rebuild Isfahan nuclear facility centers. So you see the problem in exiting this conflict right now is that all the Iranians are going to do, like the episode of Family Guy where Peter Griffin fights the Amish, and no matter what weapon he uses to defeat the barn, they just rebuild it immediately. That's what's going to happen in Tehran. Everything's just going to be rebuilt over the next few months, and they're going to go right back to where they were before this, with a more stable regime intact now, because the people that were on the fence before were like, wow, my government, even though I didn't love Ali Khamenei, he was, yeah, the regime survived and I was protected and my home is still here, whatever. So Washington and Tel Aviv, they're stuck. That's the problem. If you're starting to kind of understand this, right? There is no such thing as retreating or just taking an island and saying, "Oh, this is good enough." No, you have to, or it's a worldwide. Everyone in the world is watching this. If the United States does not achieve their objectives, it's going to be like, wow, China might do, can say, hey, these weak Americans, they can't even take down Tehran. They're not going to be able to defend Taiwan. Let's invade. Or Greenland situation reopens, right? So it's a very, I hope you kind of understand the severity of this right now. So we're stuck in this. There's no way out. The door closed and locked behind us the moment we bombed them last June. That was the costly part of the last June attack, is that we were directly involved in the conflict now, attacking Iranian soil. Think of it like your buddy after work says, hey, let's go to the pub and just one beer. I promise, just one beer. The first beer was pulling out of the JCPOA in 2018. Okay, so like Donald Trump's like, okay, yeah, I did this. Second beer is declaring the Revolutionary Guard a terrorist organization that next calendar year in 2019. The third beer was killing Qasem Soleimani. Now you're loose. Now you're feeling good. Additional sanctions are applied to Iran the preceding years following Soleimani's death. And now the second you bombed the nuclear facilities last June, it's like you lost the ability to drive. The bartender has to take your keys away because you're too drunk now. You kind of see the problem. You kind of see the buildup, and now you can't leave the bar until you topple the regime. Okay, so that's kind of where we are with Iran right now. So this is just the next little stage of this. But let's say there is a ground invasion. I talked about it this morning. Remember, if you ever played Halo as a kid, and the little grunts are running around with the grenades, and they're just kind of chanting. The first line is, I think Medi 833 makes a great point about how the IRGC is prepared and trained for this. But the first line of defense might not even be that. It might be whether it's a radical Islamist or women and children suicide bombers, right? There's just no telling. It's an Islamic republic. It's a theocracy. It's a different belief system. It's a different buy-in system from the population. Doesn't mean they're evil people or bad people. They're human beings just like you and I. They're at home, maybe, yeah, with their families, just trying to enjoy life, right? Kind of like us, right? We have our problems, they have their problems, but doesn't mean people are inherently evil just because they're from a different country than ours. Yeah, they're humans like us. Military reality hits hard when it's ignored. Parker says, buy gold and silver. Here, I think I missed a couple of those comments. Sorry, everybody. Let's go to... Parker says, why does Israel treat people like ants and they have a magnifying glass? Maddie says, how do we even get troops to Kharg Island without coming first? I think that's another good point, is that you probably need to take... Well, some of that could be the 82nd Air. If they're dropped in, maybe that's the plan. Maybe some bombing campaigns as well, give them cover. Parker says Iran equal Amish. Haha. Live to Survive says we have to make sure that the new leadership is not a religious violent country. I know, easy to say, right? And Project -5 C5G says Alexa play Highway to the Danger Zone. Hello, Project. Thank you for joining the stream this evening. I believe it's the first time I've seen you here, so would love to welcome you to the Awoken. Thank you for hanging out with us on Awoken Wednesday. Happy Awoken Wednesday. Here. And Colonel says, yeah, right, we're $40 trillion in debt. The Pentagon just asked for $200 billion for this war. And there's no money for other stuff, right? So, why do we have to suffer? We the people. It's our country. It's our goddamn money. Honestly. I'd rather that money go towards roads or stuff that helps my neighbors and my community. Project 5... My Alexa's not working. Can you play Highway, the Danger Zone for me, please? Trump has said he doesn't want boots on the ground, so what is the 82nd for? Could be trying to... I think right now, to break the stalemate, the U.S. and Tel Aviv, they understand that there needs to be some kind of disruption with the Strait of Hormuz. I think that's their play right now. Right, yeah, Parker says, why is it our responsibility to pay the nation debt? Excuse me. They are the ones spending it. Why should I fund it? Absolutely right. Yeah, it's like, and it seems like whether it's the Freedom Caucus or a politician goes to D.C. saying, my number one priority is going to fix the debt. Well, it's almost like you don't even need to lie about that anymore. Nothing ever happens when it comes to that. So, and that's also a good point, Survive, is that there is, we do have a lot of bases in the Middle East that can assist in something like that as well. So, very good points, everybody. So yeah, would love to remind and Survive said this as well. Everyone, yeah, please give the video a like if you're new. Would love to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. We have fun, deep, serious political discussions like this all the time. So would love if you hit that subscribe button as well. And you'll definitely be able to join us on the next streams as well. We're not done tonight. We're just going to, that's kind of my little discussion about the Strait of Hormuz right there. I think I got pretty much my points out of the way that I wanted to with that as well. So, yeah, thank you for hanging out. Happy to take questions and just chat with you guys for a little bit too. It's always fun getting to know you guys a little better, because I do want to foster a serious political community with this channel. Let's see. They all have their hand in the cookie jar. They all profit off war while we suffer and starve. Yeah, man. Yeah, like, you see me on these walking around streams in the morning. There's always some homeless person or somebody stuck on drugs, unfortunately. They maybe they made a lot of bad decisions in their life. Who knows? But yeah, they should probably at least get help more than foreign countries and conflicts. Project says, wait, what does the world need to suffer from the terrorized attacks from the IRGC? Let's see. I'm uncertain of your the particular word. I think I know what you mean though. So right, yeah, and this is, so I do want to clarify, this is not a defense or an endorsement of the regime in Iran at all. We know that they fund the proxies that have hurt and killed American troops and citizens before, not doubting that at all. Not doubting that their treatment of women would be considered highly illegal in Western countries, right? They're not women don't have the same opportunities just because they're simply born in that country, right? So it's not definitely not an endorsement at all. Um, but it's just like a does Iran really pose a threat to the United States? I think you can argue yes up to a point, right? It's just an anti-Western mindset. But just look at what we've done to them in this conflict so far. Without attacking first, they have lost their supreme leader. They've been bombed thousands of times. They've lost lots of other regime targets and other personnel that is critical for their government's stability and structure and survival. And still, really, doesn't seem like much has changed, honestly, except that now they've have control of the Strait of Hormuz. So, um, yeah, good questions, guys. I understand your. Parker says I should grab a beer, relax, and stay a while. Sounds very tempting. Very tempting. Meaty says, I understand your POV, but this is just military reality. IRGC, TOE, and COFM. It's not a weak force. And Parker asks a question. Do you think Trump will sit down with you for an interview for YouTube/social media and you ask him hard-hitting questions? Man, talk about a breakout video for the channel. He might be busy with some other things right now. However, that would be pretty cool, though. Get one of the biggest, if not the most, biggest important person on the earth right now on an interview. Yeah, have have President Trump become Awoken. That would be nice. And Colonel says, Russia does nothing and wins in this situation. Right, yeah, didn't we, we removed the sanctions or the tariffs off of their oil. And other countries are now buying their oil. So they're just making a whole lot of money right now. Medi833, people need to look into what the IRGC has in equipment and how the correlation of force and means match up against U.S. forces that might land within the Islamic Republic. Interesting point. Yeah, right. The IRGC, it's expanded heavily under Ali Khamenei when he was the supreme leader from '89 as well. So it's really an IRGC police state now after Khamenei died. That the son, he might be the supreme leader in name only. It's the IRGC. They're the ones running the show right now. Whatever is left of them and their leadership. Project says there has been attacks around the world before all this. Right, yeah, I think that's a fair point. Yeah, an analogy I use on the show is that as long as there's water in the ocean, there's always going to be some kind of Islamic terror. So it's just, to your point, it's just been around as long as time. It's just the reality of life almost. Not trying to dampen or soften your point, but it's just it will continue occurring long after we all pass away and for hundreds, if not thousands, tens of thousands of years into the future. Okay. IRGC helped clear Aleppo, and I should grow a Duck Dynasty beard. Little beard action. I don't know. I like going 3 to 4 days. This is probably day 4 or 5 of not shaving. Usually like going a couple of days, having a little scruff. Then I'll usually ditch it, restart the process. Haven't really grown a beard before though, so that would be a adventure. Let's just say that, to say the least. Here, I'm gonna make sure fans did not text in a question to the show. Nothing right now. Ooh. I actually just got a Iran. Oh, it could be. Who knows? But there was something earlier today. Did you guys see on Twitter that the claim is breaking? Iran has shot down another U.S. fighter jet. This time an F-18. I'm not sure how legit that is. That's just something I thought. Yeah, I got a notification from it on Twitter. So, um, hmm. Yeah, that's all the messages right now. Hey, so, um, Russia's losing all their oil ports, all getting blown up. Now they're losing their ships, so no oil in Russia. I did see Ukraine did attack a Russian oil infrastructure facility or plant. So pretty interesting there, right? Kind of weird. That's why I put the globe in my logo. Um, is that like everything in the world kind of connects a little bit. It's just about understanding how and why it does. That's how you become super powerful. That's how you become awoken. Are you ready? Okay, Project agrees with it. That jet was taken down today. Yikes. Parker says, "Are you ready to fight a war if it happens here on U.S. soil?" Yeah, baby. Yeah, we are. If we're invaded, man, put me in. Put me in, coach. Um, Not seriously though. We are fighting this kind of political war each and every day as well, too, though. Um, and Mehdi says Iran has good air defense systems, and Mehdi's ready too. All right. And Colonel says only an insane person would invade the United States. I think that's I think we probably got the safest, ideally safest coastlines in the world. Maybe the southern border. Sometimes the southern border is weaker than we would all like it to be, but right now that doesn't seem to be the case. Ha. Okay, so yeah, happy to take any more questions. If you guys want me to talk about something else, at least. Oh, okay. Uh, Hamdi, welcome back. Hamdi, welcome back to the stream. Nice to see you this morning. Wait, sorry. Uh, I misread it. Okay. So yeah, the tweet was false information. Okay. Yeah, that's what. Um, yeah, here. Let's just go. Let's just look on Twitter again. Not that I disbelieve you, but let's just see maybe if there's a different account or something that is um, discussing this. But here, let's see. Nice to see you this evening, sir. Absolutely. Thank you for popping on the stream. Switzerland is never invaded because of geography and a gun in every home. Uh, Largest armed force in the world is the U.S. gun owner. Right, yeah. My apologies, Project. I misread your comment here. Yeah, so this is IRGC affiliated media, it looks like. And U.S. Central Command says that's false. So yeah, it's kind of. There's always a lot of stuff going on in the country, right? So also as well. So hey, if you're just now joining the stream, please leave the video like, subscribe if you're enjoying the conversation. If you're new and really enjoying the chit chat and the monologue as well, would love to have you around in the future. And we also started the Discord channel today, so everyone is welcome to join the Discord chat. We have some serious and exciting moments in there as we expand our community. The Awoken will only continue to grow. So Z helped set that up today. Very thankful for his efforts. So definitely when you're in the Discord, please thank him for helping set it up. Very thankful for you guys wanting to help out with the channel, that you're hanging out with us. yeah, hanging out with me on this evening. We're really growing the channel's reach and wrath a little bit as well. So thank you, Project. Liked and subscribe. There we go, baby. Yep, we got another one. All right, guys. Yep, we're only going up and up, brick by brick, day by day. That's the mentality around here. Hey, Parker says you should do a throwback Thursday and bring up past events. Ooh, that's a good one. Because, yeah, we've covered a lot of different topics on the show, like countries like Sudan and Somalia that don't make the news every single day. Ooh, okay. An international viewer at Jenny Harrell watching from Mexico. So the Awoken is now international, everybody. That's exciting news. I'm sure there's some other... The channel, we've attracted a lot of Iranians, at least from some of the comments and some of the morning chats. So, but yeah, Throwback Thursday, that would be fun. Alf, I think Alfman or Sir Alf this morning mentioned it. Didn't have time to get to today, but every Wednesday we'll start doing a Woke Wednesday. And like a 5-minute segment before the monologue each week, and try to find one of the more, like kind of woke moments during the week or something. Just something kind of funny for people to get into the mood of things a little bit. CENTCOM says everything is false. Iran's parliament speaker issues warning over threat to island as U.S. administration talks peace while committing more troops to conflict. Right, and all of this, I didn't mention this during the monologue, but all of this stuff about peace, it's all a farce. Or like trying to make a deal, none of that is actually, I think, legit by any means, because why would the Iranians even want to go to the discussion table now? The deal that's being offered right now is worse than what it was at the beginning of the conflict. And you also have they've made it this far. They didn't lose the supreme leader just to give up a month later. So they have nothing to lose, as I've said multiple times. And yes, that's another thing I wanted to mention. Is that I believe the USS Abraham Lincoln had to leave, right? There was a fire on the aircraft, needed some repairs. So that, or either the Abraham Lincoln or the Gerald Ford, either of the two had to, one of them had to back off a little bit for repairs. So the George H.W. Bush is on its way. And yes, we'll definitely have some music in the Discord chat for you, Project, for sure. Not going to happen. U.S. attacked twice during previous negotiations. Right, yeah. And those really weren't negotiations either, honestly. Like, it was, or at least from our point of view, is that we were not really going to ever accept anything less than total surrender, pretty much. So, okay, yeah, USS Ford had to leave. And a laundry fire is the story. A laundry fire does not take 30 hours to contain. Yikes. That's a long time there. Yeah, the Ford. Okay, a couple people put Ford. And Project said, I'll join the Discord. All right, let's go. Yeah. And Hamadi, let's see how American troops fight against the drones in 2026. Right, yeah, that seems to kind of be the new, with this Russia-Ukraine stuff being the birth, kind of birth the drone warfare, and the Iranians took note, used as a regime survival tactic. And Survive says it has toilet problems and a fire in the bunkers. Sailors are sleeping on the floors. Yikes. Not good by any means. Maddie says, I was sent an image of a carrier just in port. It was not a laundry fire. I will leave it there. Do you guys think maybe a drone snuck through, or maybe not a ballistic missile, but you think a drone or two maybe impacted, maybe it got hit, and maybe CENTCOM is not telling us everything, or right. And this isn't an accusation. I'm just trying to think of what maybe some alternative ideas. Parker says, uh, "Did the toilets? They did the toilets to stop us from attacking Iran." Yeah, I guess if people can't relieve themselves, it makes it pretty uncomfortable to fight in war. Survive says USS Gerald R. Ford said to be out for a year for repairs. Yikes! That's man, that's a long time for a laundry fire. If that's what the official story is. Uh, okay, Parker says, do you think we should be worried about drone attacks on the coastal states? I doubt it. I don't think so, honestly. Because my thing is I don't think they would do that. It's not going to be an effective enough attack for the Iranians to. Um, yeah, it just wouldn't make strategic sense. I think because right now they're focused on defense and staying alive. If they were to attack us, that would give the president the green light to fully invade, right? So that would just be a major mistake for the Iranians if they did that. Uh, Darnell Davis showed us on a show today. Well, the U.S. has a lot of very expensive radar systems, and most Americans don't know about them. One of them cost $1 billion in Qatar. FPV don't, yes. Uh, Colonel says drones don't have that long of range. Yes, over the horizon radar was knocked out early. And Mehdi says it depends on the drone if it can maybe reach that long of a distance. But still, you can have two people hiding and one manning one drone for troops on the ground. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, awesome. Awesome. That's great. Here, let's see if I missed anything. Yeah, guys, we're having a ton of comments tonight. Holy cow. This is amazing. Survive says, I don't think it was an attack. I think it was the normal problems that the Ford has had previously. Parker says, where's your beer at, man? So I don't, I, I'm afraid I could be demonetized or uh, lose something if I drink on the camera. I'm just not sure if that's the best look for the channel as well. Um, However, if you guys join the Discord, maybe we can maybe there's an option to where there's like a not the Twitter live, but the Twitter Spaces after. Maybe we can do one of those and just keep chatting or something here in a little bit. Uh, you don't need a full squad to operate FPV drones and be deployed from anywhere. Mehdi says, if what I saw is real, the carrier was hit in the stern. I'm drinking with the koozie. Maybe next time. Yeah. I don't have one ready. That's another problem. I'd have to uh, I'd have to head to the fridge or something. And Project says no, you're good. You can drink on stream. Well, let's do a um. Okay, so Yeah, let's just play it safe for now. Um, maybe in the Discord though we can hang out a little bit, everybody. So, um, but yeah, good. I do love the spirit though. Uh, no disrespect, but I'm waiting for an official report. Curdle says not everyone is an alcoholic. Parker. um, Survive says what other platforms are you streaming on right now? So you can also the stream is also live right now on X and Twitch. Even though I've only been on the Twitch account a couple of times, um, because I've been YouTube, Instagram, X, and Facebook have been the ones I push the most. I also upload videos like this one onto Rumble and Spotify as well. I don't upload the morning shows because it's really just kind of all of us having a big conversation, more or less, and not the anchor show, and it would take a lot of time as well. But I upload these videos onto Rumble and Spotify as well. No, you're good, Parker. It's just, maybe for long term, we got to think about the channels, right? How we want ourselves to look, right? This is, we have I'd say we also have a responsibility with this too, right? To wake up as many people as we can with this mass awakening. So, especially on camera, let's play it safe. Let's see. What's the source? About the video. Okay, gotcha. Cool. But yeah, you can also find the other. So in the YouTube description for this video, I have the all the links for all 8 of the platforms we're on. So if you have accounts on all of those, you can follow or subscribe or do whatever on all 8 of the platforms. But YouTube's the one I've been putting the most time into. I believe we're at above 640, probably in the mid 640s in terms of subs right now. So we are we're doing pretty solid right now, and especially with like a stream like this, right? This is one of the more chattier streams we've ever had for the anchor shows, because since the screen is bigger and not vertical, there's sometimes less because a lot of people will swipe looking for different live streams, but on the computer, I don't think this one appears as much, especially on the vertical live stream. So it's sometimes harder to gain traction a little bit. But this is by far the most chatty anchor show stream we've ever had, for sure. Drone warfare is nice one. I got you there. Smart by stepping around that YouTube, the netting, the comment filter section. They net a lot of those comments during the morning, so. Absolutely zero knows about the Blackhawk and radar and Western media. Shame. Parker says you should do a stream while cooking. That'd be, maybe cook some good healthy foods or something that would make a lot of people excited. And Live to Survive says at 646. Okay, awesome. So we've picked up three new subs, I believe. If not more, during the stream this evening. So that's great news, everybody. Awesome. Thrilled to another achievement. Okay, so does anyone have any last kind of parting questions? I think I'm probably going to wrap this one up here soon. But we can keep talking for a few more minutes. It's just I got most of my monologue out of the way. um, are completed for you guys. And right now we're just kind of chilling, so. You can do home recipes, and Ham says 646 is a New York City phone area code. A lot of, yeah, there's a good chunk of people from New York uh, on the channel um, that are from there. I know, Colonel. Yeah, it's 10. It's now 10 p.m. And the thing is, we've been going 90 minutes as well. Like we're having a solid, real solid stream right now. Okay. Uh, Parker asks, "How would you stop Iran if you were the current president?" I, I think the play is you have to know why they're trying to do what they're doing, and it's because the reason they have the nuclear program and other programs is for, as we see right now, it's for self-defense, and the proxies help um, alleviate pressure, right? The regional influence, but the reason that they're trying to do all they can is for regime survival. If the United States could somehow get in, like what I would do is say, hey man, give up, yeah, the nuclear enrichment, just put that down, and sanctions relief, or we'll help you out. Yeah, you help us help you. I don't want to be here right now. My constituency, my country at has been mad at the political class for the last several decades for Middle East conflicts. I don't want to touch you. Just give up the frickin' enrichment, and we'll work from there. That's, yeah, you know what I mean? Just kind of start from there. Parker says, drink of water on stream. I do have water. Sometimes my voice can get a little dry, a little raspy after long days of streaming, so there we go. That's for your cold, absolutely. And then Survive says, confirmed Black Hawk down in Iraq. Crap. Iranian proxy, it says, to the source. Project was asking for the source. Yes, sir, water is the way to go. Colonel adds, perhaps most of our politicians are blackmailed by a certain country and they had no choice. That could be it as well. We did an episode on the Epstein files probably a month and a half ago or so when all this shit hit the fan. So, yeah, that was an exciting episode. Parker says if they are blackmailed, then they did something bad. Ooh. Yeah, they're kind of like the puppet master, right? They're not really the ones making the real decisions. So. Uh, right, there we go. Yeah, good point, everybody. Yeah, been a fun little discussion. But yeah, it's a little past 10 o'clock, so um let's do like another minute or two, and then we'll probably head out for the evening. Park, I've looked up a little bit of that. I'm not as familiar with it as I probably should be, but at least I know what you're talking about. What Rothschilds and some uh, royalty. There's some royalty involved in that as well. So a couple of big things, or a couple of big families, I should say, rather. Excuse me. But alrighty, well, yeah, I think I'm in it here, everybody. So I hope, yeah, hopefully the the Iran and the TSA stuff made sense. The stream, you can rewatch it right after we end it. I'll have it on YouTube, on Spotify and Rumble here very soon once we log off. If you join the Discord, I'll be hanging out in the Discord chat with you guys for a little bit tonight. We can keep kind of chatting, and there would love to pick some of your guys' brains a little bit. So, all right, everybody. Well, I think we're going to call it there. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight on this Awoken Wednesday. Happy Awoken Wednesday, everybody. We will be back with you tomorrow morning. We'll be walking around DC once again. We'll try to find maybe pick somewhere different. Project just joined. I've heard a kick. I'll look into it though. I'm just not sure how if I'd be able to somehow get the program to get all of these streams on at the same time or something like that. But it's something I will look into. But okay, so I will be back with you tomorrow morning. For Thursday morning, we'll be chilling out a little bit. Or we'll be walking around DC, taking your questions once again. Think got that. Oh, and Saturday, just a reminder, Saturday, there's supposed to be a massive No Kings protest here in DC. So I'll go to that protest and do man on the street interviews. We'll go live there. So in the Discord, maybe we can talk about some potential questions I could ask some of the attendees. So, all right, everybody, you have been awoken with Aulden. All right, much love, everybody. Good night. We'll see you in the morning. Thank you for hanging out tonight.